Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are in sort of kind of Switzerland here. We are deep, deep, deep in Switzerland, and we have a fantastic venue for you here today for the Swiss Women's Cup, which is coming up right now. We have six of the best women from around Europe that are going to be competing here today in the Swiss Women's Cup for points. My name is Troy Mannering. I will be your host today. And next to me is our expert, Jolanda Gnedinger, who also holds all the Swiss records. So I'm kind of questioning why she's not out there competing. Jolanda?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, sadly, can't compete today. Still having issues with my shoulder, but next year I'll be back, definitely.
There we go. So we have lots of action coming your way with the axe and saw today. We have 3 disciplines, and it's going to be single buck.
4 disciplines.
4 disciplines. Woohoo! We've got more to do. Yahoo! That's awesome. So 4 disciplines. Let's take a quick look then. Yeah, we have stock saw, standing block chop, single buck, and the underhand chop. Standing block chop, that's a tough one. We're going to see how this breaks down here today. But like I said, this is going to be a lot of fun today. We have 2 events going on today. First up is the Women's Cup. Then we have the Swiss Pro Men this afternoon at 3 o'clock. So be sure to stick around for that because it's going to be a full day of action. And before we get to the action, we're going to go up onto the stage to Eddie. And he's going to be your stage host. We're going to have Alessandro Chiapponi taking care of some expert duties on stage with him for our live audience. And we're going to get to meet our athletes and some of the important individuals on stage right now.
Dude, Saki Shia. Benvenuti a Bellinzona, benvenuti in Svizzera. Un applauso pubblico, per favore. Siamo in diretta qua da Bellinzona per i Timbersports 2024. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this beautiful Saturday of fun, wood and celebration. Ora, prima di iniziare la gara, vi presenterò i 4 giudici di oggi. Before we go into the heart of the competition, let me introduce you to the judges. Partiamo con l'annuncio dei giudici dalla Gran Bretagna, from Great Britain, Sports Director Spike Milton. Un applauso. Sempre dalla Gran Bretagna, from Great Britain, sempre Sports Director Andy Hall. Dall'Olanda, from Netherlands, Bart Jansen. And now, video timing from Netherlands, dall'Olanda, STIHL Jansen. Sì, eccoci. Sorry for the problem. Ok. È stata annullata la manifestazione. Grazie per essere passati. Ok, here we go. Thank you, sorry for the problem. And now let me introduce you to the heroes of today. Presentiamo gli eroi di quest'oggi, le atlete. Partiamo dalla Repubblica Ceca, from Czech Republic, Nadezhda Bakvalova. Wow, benvenuta. Welcome. Dalla Gran Bretagna, from Great Britain, Zoe Pennington. Welcome. Benvenuta. Ok, ah, ok, ok. No. Scusate. Ok, 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 ok. Vado a casa, I go home.
Well, they seem to be having some problems with the technique on the main stage there, but we've just been introduced to some of our athletes. Johanna Loretz was the last person just to go up on stage. It seems like the mic is working again, so I will
Farei
step
ancora un
away.
applauso dall'Austria Fomeuša a Johanna Loretz che è arrivata su adesso. Ok, Johanna, che non ha sentito. Round of applause for Johanna. Dall'Italia invece, from Italy, Marta Poletti. Wow, bravi. È di casa, è svizzera, from Switzerland, Irene Murer. Yes? Welcome. Benvenuta. Welcome. Dalla Svizzera. E invece, dalla Svezia, from Sweden, Tove Justad. Nice. Welcome. Ok? Ringraziamo l'atleta. Thank you. Have fun. Go with the show, eh? Thank you so much. Iniziamo quindi ufficialmente con le gare. We start now with the Wettkampf, sage ich auf Italienisch, auch auf Deutsch. Danke für diejenigen, die auch Deutsch sprechen, die uns hören. Merci pour ceux qui sont là, qui nous écoutent et nous regardent dans le display. On va commencer. Okay, now.
So there we have our 6 athletes that are going to be competing today, and before we send them into the fray in this competition, we're going to take a quick look at the competition format and how this will break down throughout the day.
The STIHL TIMBERSPORTS women's competition, all athletes will compete in 4 disciplines. The maximum points awarded for each discipline result from the number of participating athletes. The first discipline is the stock saw. The fastest athlete will receive points equal to the total number of athletes competing, down to 1 point for the last place in each discipline. The second event is the standing block chop. Points remain the same, awarded based on times, and as with all events, any rule infraction will result in a disqualification and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. As the third discipline, every competitor will need to show their skill in the single butt. And in the underhand chop, it's the athlete's last chance to claim valuable points. The points from all disciplines are accumulated, and the athlete with the highest point total wins the competition.
So now that we have our format, and just remember, this is not an elimination competition. This is about gathering as many points as possible by being fast during our competition. And speaking of competition, the first event, and you might hear that in the background, the saws running, the motor saws, the MS661 from STIHL. That is the stock saw. Let's check out the tool and discipline for this first one.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL TIMBERSPORTS as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional STIHL technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, one downward and one upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
All right, so a quick look at the beautiful surroundings here, and we'll get our starting list shortly. And there it is for stock saw, Bach Valova. I gotta have trouble with that one all day long, I think. is going to be going up against Zoe Penlington. We know that Zoe is very strong on the stock saw, and I'm very curious to see how Bakvalova does in stock saw as well. You have experience with her on these machines.
Yes, she's a newcomer, so she has been competing a year 2 years, but she's still getting some training under her to get some better times. But although right now you see she does have the better personal best.
Yeah, we call that tail of the tape right there. Zoe Penlington, she's got a lot of experience, and you know that Zoe is a very motivated athlete. She's going to be pushing hard to try and improve every single time she gets up on that stage. And of course, with the Penlington family, they've got pedigree and they've got a whole bunch of people that are working together to get their training up to par here.
They sure do. Last few nicks and nays, getting everything set.
This is one of two disciplines that's exactly right for all you gas heads out there as our two women get ready to go. Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
That was a pretty good start by both of them, but it looks like we have a cutout by Bakvalova and Zoe Penlington. Nice transition to the upcut. And that's going to be a personal best for Zoe Penlington, and a rough start by Bakvalova because she had a cutout right away. And that means she needs to go back and be careful about that third cookie she cuts, that she doesn't get outside of that blue line that you see on the log there, which is that 10-centimeter marking.
That's right. There's not a lot of room there for error, so you really got to kind of watch. It takes more time once you have a cutout to reconcentrate yourself to make sure that you can get those two cookies that you need.
Bart Janssen checking to make sure that there are no cut lines, but so far so good it looks like, and we'll wait until he comes down to the decision zone. But he is going to get a look back. Oh, no, it looks like we do have a disqualification. There's a flag on the play and a cut line. That is unfortunate.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, stand 1, DQ, cut a line. However, stand 2 is good.
Interesting. It didn't look like a cut line to me. I don't know about that, but okay, whatever. That's they're closer to it than we are.
That's right, yeah.
Zoe Penlington, though, as predicted, every time she steps on stage, she seems to improve. And you can see there just the power of these saws as well. When Zoe got contact with the wood, the saw pulled away from her. So you really have to know these tools. And I mean, you know better than anybody what this is all about.
That's right. And here you can see where she cut out. She realized it, but continued it. If she would have been able to think quick, she could have stopped, pulled out, and done the next cookie to save some time.
And I see where that cut line came in. She made the transition to try to do that upcut. She was very far over, and that's where the cut line was, at the bottom, not in the side where we had our camera picture. And so even though she didn't actually cut a disc there, she cut the line, and that is a DQ. So an unfortunate situation for our Czech athlete Nadezhda Bakvalova. I hope I said that correctly. I apologize if not.
Right.
Next heat coming up now is Johanna Loretz going up against Marta Poletti, who holds the national record. But I tell you what, Johanna Loretz has been a fantastic addition to the women's timber sports. We've seen her really progress quickly in the last little while.
That's right. She just changed and started working in the forestry industry as well, so that definitely helps for the training.
Okay, warm up yourself.
Marta Poletti not wasting any time to get herself set. There's a routine that these athletes follow almost every time the same. And here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Wow, so quick.
Very quick pickup by Johanna Loretz. That was fantastic, but
that's one
she
big
has
cookie.
a massive cookie. She's got to be really careful with the transition and the upcut. Thin to win is what we like to say here. Marta Poletti, a quick cut with 13.33, and Loretz, I think she managed to get a thin one on the upcut, but she had to be real careful because she was fast with a very fat cookie on that first cut.
That definitely cost her those few seconds just for the concentration to make sure that that cut. Ooh, look how close that is. We'll see what the decision is from the judges here shortly.
Andy Hall and Bart Janssen both looking over it very, very closely, and they want to make sure that everything stays fair in these competitions.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
There you go.
Excellent.
She got lucky on that one, because that first cookie was, I'm going to say, 8 centimeters wide. Let's take a look back at the replay here, and we'll get a better view of just how big that cookie was.
She was so quick onto that block, which is really important, but you will see here the size of the cookie that she did. Wow, unreal. So now she had to really concentrate. She did a very good changeover, but she had to take that time. A very good cut for Marta. I know she's really happy with that. She has been struggling in the past, that this is the event that she has the most problems with.
I mean, we hear it from timber sports athletes often. It's with the motor saws, it's a love-hate relationship. A lot of people don't like it because it's not traditional, but it's part of the competition, so you gotta be proficient. All right, so Marta Poletti sitting in second place right now, and we go to heat number 3 between Irene Mürer and Tove Njostad. And both of them have very, very good personal bests, including a national record from Tove.
See here, she's just marking her log, so every athlete does it a little bit different, how much they mark, just so that they know where they want to do that cut.
Okay, warm up your saw. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start by Tove Njostad. Irene's got a really thin cookie there, though, and that one drops nicely. Transition looked good. Njostad with the upcut there, and that's a great cut by both of them. Very close to the times for each of them. Irene Mürer, that second cookie was paper thin. So she was a little bit slower on the start because she kind of hovered to get the first cut, but she seems pretty pleased with that cut all in all.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
The wood has been cutting really good. I did expect a little bit better time from these two ladies.
What is it you taught me before? If it saws well, it'll chop badly, and if it saws badly, it'll chop well. Let's see.
Very nice cookie there by Tove. Here you can see how paper thin. She did hover there, you're right. She's trying to find that spot. Nice change over there.
Oh, that was beautiful transition. Remember, folks, you've only got 10 centimeters as an athlete on stage to cut those 2 cookies out. So as we saw in those first heats, you know, if you got a big fat cookie, you're going to have a less space to make that transition, and that transition from down below to back up can sometimes swing wide. Yeah? Swing low, sweet chariot. All right, so I'm leaning all over the place here. I'm getting all excited with the action that's going on stage. Stock saw is done and dusted. There we see the results. Zoe Penlingen on top with the fastest time and a personal best for the woman from Great Britain with a 12:55. So she'll take those 6 points. Unfortunately for Nadezhda, it is a disqualification because she did cut over the line, or a cut line in this case. It wasn't cut over the line. As I mentioned, she came up with her transition from the upcut and hit that line below. So, yeah, unfortunately, there is a DQ in the mix, and that's going to make life tough for her for the remaining 3 disciplines. And that means that she's going to have to work extra hard in the next discipline coming up, and that is the standing block chop. Now, let's talk a little bit about the standing block chop because we're using this instrument right here. Competition racing axes, as we know, are razor sharp. You can shave your arm, you can cut your arm off with them, you can do some serious damage. But with the standing block chop, it's particularly important for the athletes to have safety testing before they're allowed to actually compete in this discipline. Explain why.
That's right. So the standing block chop, you're using different angles to chop. You're literally trying to fell a tree. So if that angle isn't right, you can slip off with the axe. So that is really crucial. And That is this event is new now by the ladies this year. So they're all just starting to get into it, and they have to find that sweet spot.
And this thing is heavy. I mean, I'm not exactly a weak individual, but this is heavy. I mean, it's 8 kilos or so at the end of the axe handle here with the head, and incredibly sharp. I just barely touched it. I was like, geez, Louise, that thing is very, very sharp. So let's take a look at the tool and discipline for standing block chop.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 25 centimeters has to be cut through from both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
I lied, folks. It's not 8 kilos, 8 pounds, 3.5 kilos thereabouts for the head. It's still heavy. It's awkward to move, and you've got to move it fast and accurately. Okay, standing block chop, first heat, Zoe Pendleton up against Irene Murer.
So
Zoe, pretty solid in this discipline.
yes, I think she's doing really good already. Now, I'm not sure if Eden is taking part in this event, in this discipline.
Yes, I see on our sheet here that it is a DNS, so unfortunately for Zoe, she'll be on stage by herself, which is a tough situation to be in.
That's right. That motivation just to be that much quicker than your opponent.
Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good hard hits there by Zoe.
First chips are flying off. She took a step back to get away from that.
That's right. You got to kind of situate yourself to see where is the best place to stand. Sometimes you got to move a little closer or a little farther away just to get those hits.
Now here we can see how sharp these axes actually are, and we can also see that she's cutting, as you mentioned to me a while back, a little bit steppy, so that means she's cutting new material with each hit, which means that she's doing more work than
That's
she
right.
needs to do. So here, it's really about trying to improve the accuracy as best you can.
Yeah, and with the weight of these axes and trying to get that angle just right, it's difficult because here gravity is actually working against you.
And we'll see also sometimes when the athletes start to get a little tired, that angle disappears and they're going straight in with the axe. And what we see then is more often than not, the axe will just bounce back out and not actually cut anything.
That's right. But she's doing great. She's on her last few hits here. See the block is moving already.
She opts for a couple of drivers from on top and one down below to just kind of get some of that material out of the way. But she's really working hard to try and cut through. But I think she left a little bit too much on that open front side.
So that's also kind of it, when you change over and think you got it, like she's almost through. She just, so sad.
So our women
Bummer.
receive 1 minute 30 time limit. There is a reason why there is a time limit, and that's safety.
Safety definitely all the way.
So now, as you mentioned, that standing block chop is new for the women. You have to qualify for it. And unfortunately for Zoe, that will be a disqualification
Okay,
for
ladies and
exceeding the
gentlemen,
time limit.
We have DQ out of time.
So we know that Glenn Pendleton, who is excellent in this discipline, will definitely be working with his sister to make sure that she's got everything that she needs in her toolkit, including the axes, to be able to cut this well. But let's take a look back at this here and what those first hits look like.
So those first couple hits were actually really good. It did take a few more hits to finally start chipping out. It can be that the wood is a little bit hard, but you can see here she really should have done a couple more hits to really clean this side out.
Yeah,
and
there was a little bit of salad there, I like to call it.
Yeah, and even from the second side, she got kind of flat, so she wasn't able to match those cuts.
Okay, those things will improve, as we saw with Zoe and her stock saw. She will definitely be motivated now to make some big changes for that standing block chop. Next heat coming up, Johanna Loretz going up against Nadezhda Bach-Falova. Our air conditioning unit is not working here today, but it's beautiful sunny weather here after some pretty heavy storms last night. And everybody is out in force. The audience is growing by leaps and bounds in front of the stage here for this Women's Cup.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nadezhda with a really wide stance to get things started for those first drivers and continues with that wide stance. Meanwhile, Loretz is such a tall athlete, but she's not really using the entire ability, or I wouldn't say ability, but the entire body for her drivers. She's doing a lot of shoulder hits here.
Yeah, I did talk to her shortly before. She said she didn't have much time to train because she just switched jobs. So you notice that when that training is missing, but she's doing great. She already switched to the other side.
Oops.
Oh, you see a little slip up there from her.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason why we want these athletes that do compete, regardless of whether they're women, rookies, or the men. They have to qualify with training in this particular discipline in particular.
That's right. You see Lawrence, and there she goes.
There we go. So she's got a nice time of 51.14, and at the moment, that is the time to beat. Bach-Falova is just getting on the second side now, and it's maybe going to be okay for her to get through this if she can get quickly through this second side. She has about 20 seconds left here to get through it, but it looks like she's getting tired and the power just isn't there. We can see that she's getting a little bit flat on those drivers, and yeah, just getting to the 20-second mark, 10 seconds to go, and I don't think she's going to get through here, save the miracle of a Superman hit. And there we go. That is time exceeded for Bach-Falova. Unfortunate, that's 2 DQs so far. But I will tell you something. That's not the end of the world. We saw one of the world's best women in Zoe Pendleton get a time limit DQ, so that tells you exactly how difficult this particular discipline is. And we see the rookies and the men do the same thing. So this is nothing against the women in this discipline. This has everything to do with the safety aspect and it being brand new for these ladies on stage.
And you can always have one competition, perfect time, next competition, DQ. It all depends on the wood as well. It's a natural product. You never know what you get. Hard hits there by Joanna. Big chips coming out. Nadezhda's chopping is getting so good. I mean, such an improvement now from the Women's Cup in Germany. Joanna will be really happy with this chop because it's a new personal best and it's just improving. Next heat, Marta Poletti and Tove Nasta.
So here we see 2 national records that are vastly different from each other, and that tells you which nations are getting into this particular discipline ahead of others. It also tells you that Marta's got a little bit of work ahead of her, but we have seen Marta take major strides in the last couple of years during her competition life, and she is one of the top female timber sports athletes at the moment. So we'll see how she does today, and I'm guaranteeing you that she's gotten plenty of help from Alessandro Ciapponi, one of my favorite athletes, because he's so fun, so nice, and it's fun to say his name as well. But you know that he's been helping her out. I think we're going to see probably a new personal best from her today, but she's got big competition on stage there with an excellent time from Tove Neustadt.
Yeah, I definitely think Marta is someone to watch out for.
Yeah.
She has been improving extremely, like you said, with the help of Alessandro and all. Yeah, she's awesome to watch too.
Yep. And Alessandro, as I said, is our expert on stage with our stage announcer, Eddie, and thank you very much. Then the roles will switch later on. Marta will be the on-stage expert when our men go on stage for the Swiss Men's Championship later on this afternoon at 3 o'clock.
That's right.
So right now, the stage crew is just getting the last bits of preparation done and dusted for the remaining standing block chop heat. And we have to also always give props out to our stage crew who get out there, they clean all the chips, all the sawdust, and all the stuff out of the way, because having that stuff on stage is also quite dangerous for the athletes, in particular during this discipline, because the last thing you want to have is when you run around that block to have your foot slip on a chip or some sawdust on the floor when you've got a sharp axe in your hand. And we did mention these things are heavy and very, very sharp. So
That's
big
right.
shouts out to the stage crew here, who are always doing such a fantastic job to get that stage ready on time for our athletes. And our two athletes are coming on stage right now. Couple of warm-up swings from both Tova and Marta.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And both of them get into it right away. Marta getting chipped out immediately with some good drivers. You can see the determination.
Look at those hits.
She is hot to go on this block today. Meanwhile, Tova Njorstad with a fantastic opening cut there. Now this isn't as wide as you would expect on the first side, or is that a process for her? Because it looks like she's going a bit more open on that second side.
Well, since the second side is up a little bit higher, it does seem like she'll open it a little more. She just has to make sure that she meets that cut and doesn't come straight on.
Marta Poletti is angry at this block, and Tova Njorstad with a new personal best, 42.80. What a fantastic run for her. And
Marta as well.
What a finish for Marta Poletti, a 49.43, obliterating her previous personal best. As I said, she's been taking those steps as necessary to get there, and she's going to be extremely happy with that cut.
I'm definitely going to ask her after this competition, so how's your day? Because every time I ask her how fit and ready she is, she's like, oh yeah, so, yep, I'm going to do it, yep.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
Definitely happy there.
Absolutely. Okay, so Tova Njorstad with the fastest time in the standing block. Marta Poletti with the second fastest time. I don't know if I would say that's expected, but it's nice to see as we take a look back at the slow-mo here.
So Marta started out really, really good. She cut her lines, but then with the next few hits, she did miss and she went smaller. So it's not that good, but you can see here by Tova, beautiful technique here. Really opening that side up and being able to knock the second side then off.
And what I noticed about Tova's block is it's very smooth on that lower hit. And what we're normally seeing is the athletes are having a bit of a steppier lower cut and smoother top cuts because they can accurately hit that top cut a bit better. But that lower cut was really, really nice from Tova. All right, so 2 disciplines in the books. Standing block chop, there you see. Tova Njorstad with a 42.81, the time to beat there. A very good time for her, a new personal best. And Marta Poletti also dropping a personal best with a 48.93. And, of course, Johanna Loretz with a 50.80 personal best. 2 DQs and a non-start in this one. And we're going to take a look at the overall standings here, because that will now change a little bit because we are 2 disciplines in. And not a massive change, though. So Bach-Falova sitting in 6th place, 1 change there with Irene Mura now moving into 5th place. So because of 2 DQs, that's a bit of a problem for Bach-Falova as we move on to the next disciplines coming up. And Excuse me, I've just been reminded that we have an interview on stage with Marta right now after a great result there for her.
Here we are with Marta Poletti. Congratulations, Marta. How are you feeling during the competition?
It was good. It's been a good cut. The wood was amazing, and I'm happy with my personal best. Yeah.
Okay, you're happy. You want best to make the next competition. Are you best competition? Have you won competition?
This one is a pretty good one. The single buck scares me a little bit, but I'm gonna try to do my best today.
Thank you, Marta. Congratulations. Big applause for Marta, please. Thank you so much, and back to the studio.
All right, I was just going to run over and get the single buck saw. In fact, if you can kind of see it in the corner there, it is a massive piece of equipment. Yolanda, look at how big this thing is. It is a massive, heavy piece of equipment with incredibly sharp teeth here. This is going to be the tool that these athletes will use in the next discipline. Be careful.
See how long it is.
It's very, very big. So let's take a look at the tool and discipline for single buck. That's our next discipline.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc from a 40-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
All right, single buck coming up now. We have Zoe Pendleton back on stage again, this time again with Irene Mura. So that will be heat 1, Bachfalova and Loretz in heat 2, and Poletti and Jostad in heat number 3 as the top 2 athletes in our ranking for the moment. They will go last on stage, which is always a bit of an advantage, I would say. Ora?
Yes, a bit.
Would you like to expand on that a little bit?
Well, you get to kind of see how that wood is cutting, so you have that benefit. But sometimes it can make you a little nervous.
So here is tail of the tape. Looks good for both of these athletes, actually. Zoe and Irene, both 23.93 for Irene and 27.88 for Zoe. I will say, though, and again, Zoe has shown improvement every step of the way. The only thing here today for her was that unfortunate DQ in the overtime of the standing block chop, but this is a discipline where she's quite adept at.
I think both of them have the ability to improve that time today.
A little bit of an angle on Irene's setup cut, so it doesn't look really straight, and I'm wondering if that's going to cause problems with her time because she's going to be cutting so angled in towards the wood. I don't know if you saw that as well.
I'm just hoping she gets that saw placed properly before the whistle goes.
There we go.
Okay.
You jinxed her. Here we go.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Irene starting with some very short, choppy cuts, and Zoe Pendleton gets into the long strokes right away. She's trying to use the entire length of that saw, or at least the best she can, with Glenn Pendleton on stage giving her support. He'll get that wedge in there as soon as is possible and make sure that that block she's cutting doesn't bind on the saw as they keep going through. And Zoe looking very good here. And we're not going to see a personal best for Zoe at this point, I don't think, but she's going to drop that at 28.85, so that is the time to beat right now. Irene Mura a little bit sticky as she got a bit too steep on that last push through, and she wants to keep that as flat as possible on the cut. She's got to be careful here now that she doesn't bow the saw out and break that cookie off, but she managed to get through it, and I can see you wiping the sweat off of your brow after that cut from Irene, which is not as good as we've seen her do before. And she's got a time of 43.62.
It's definitely not happy with that cut, but it's time in the books.
Okay,
Points are,
both cuts are good.
she got them points, so.
Yeah, what was important for me for Irene is that when she got to the bottom of that cut, that she didn't start twisting the saw or
Yeah.
pushing too hard and locking it up so that it bows and breaks that cookie off, because that can be a nightmare to try and cut that little tab off, as you well know.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see here, Irene is standing way too close to the block. She should have been at least one step back so that she could actually use the whole saw. I'm not sure why she's so jumpy with the saw today. When you look at Zoe's, it's really nice and smooth, long pulls and pushes. She's really cutting that wood.
See Glenn Pendleton making sure she's got plenty of motivation from the older brother.
Nice finish there by Zoe. And you can see how she keeps kind of stopping, and to get that momentum going again, it just uses so much power.
And these racing saws are so precisely set up, it's hard to train to make sure that you've really got the saw for the competition ready to go, because as we mentioned in our opening statement about the tool and discipline, they cost $1,500 or up to, but that's actually not accurate anymore. This was a couple of years ago that those saws were that price, and now we're looking at prices in and around $2 to $2.5.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And having you know, two saws isn't always necessarily going to be easy for an athlete, and being able to train on the saw means that those teeth get worked fairly quickly, so they have to be resharpened every single time by hand, right?
That's right. And the waiting lists are fairly long to get a saw, so it's not that easy.
All right, the next heat is ready to go. Nadezhda Bakhvalova against Johanna Loretz.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Johanna Loretz right away using her height to her advantage, gets a little bit hooked up though as she gets the saw going. Meanwhile, Bakhvalova is only using about 25 to 30 centimeters of that 2-meter long saw to make her cuts, and Loretz is looking very good. She might have the fastest time of the day, maybe even a really wicked personal best. Let's see if she can get down there. Oh, she got a little hooked up. She bounced the saw back, but she's done it. 24.88 for Johanna Loretz, and the personal best there. Bakhvalova struggling here, and you can see she's barely using the saw. And look at the angle she's cutting at. She's cutting into the block, and that means she's cutting more material than she really needs to, and that angle makes it difficult. And she's barely using the saw to its efficient best. And she manages to get through in a better time than I cut using the whole damn saw. 45.94.
Yeah, it's crucial that you do not have an angle on that cut, because you're going to cut so much more wood.
Strange as it sounds, because you're just cutting through that one line, but you really are. You're cutting. It's like you're cutting an angle that adds more material on that angle.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, Johanna Loretz takes over the top spot in the single buck with a great time of 24.65, a wonderful personal best for her. And Nadezhda Bakhvalova has points in the book now after 2 DQs in the first 2 disciplines, so that'll be good for her to have some points on the board and get her in the mix. But yeah, that was just way too short cuts for her.
So beautiful there how Johanna is pulling that saw. She could use a little bit more. She's not quite using all of the saw, but you can see here Nadezhda really just those short strokes. Hear that bounce? So it's crucial there also to get back in, and for those last 2 pulls that you don't break off that cookie.
Yeah, and that bounce probably cost her about 1.5, 2 seconds.
That's right.
All right, couple of good Sawyers here, or Sawyerins if you want to use the German feminine. Marta Poletti and Tova Njostad, both of them holding national records in this discipline. And these 2 women definitely have the ability, and as we've seen, these blocks are cutting quite well with the saws today, so maybe we see a couple of personal bests here. World record with assistance for the women is 13.36.
Just getting the saw set perfect. You got to make sure that that distance is what you want it, that you're used to training with.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Marta Poletti right away with long flowing strokes in that cut. Tove Njorstad also quick with it, and she gets into it not only with those long flowing strokes, but she's fast as she's really moving that saw. Hans-Ove Hansen helping her out. She does have a fairly fat cookie there, and that means that there's going to be more material binding on that, even with the wedge in place. And Marta Poletti with a 23.77 personal best. A great job, and the young Italian improves once again, so she is looking very, very good right now. Marta Poletti takes over the top spot in the single buck, with Tove Njorstad slipping into third place just behind Johanna Loretz, who had a very, very good time.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both girls are good.
That means she has a national record.
Marta Poletti does, yes.
Yeah.
It does.
Wow,
Personal best went
so
from
good.
24.06 to 23.48, and she did hold, like you said, the national record beforehand, so that's fantastic. Now you can see there, Tove Njorstad not quite going to the knuckles, and the difference with Marta is she was getting pretty far along, and nice final cut from her.
So both of them, you can see how they're pulling the saw right into the wood. You got to be careful that you don't pull it in too far, because that can hook you up as well.
But I did learn the hard way that rocking the saw isn't a good thing. So you can see both of these women, very, very good saw technique and just going straight back and forth. All right, so single buck results. Marta Poletti with the fastest time so far with a 23.48. Well, let's call it the fastest time. Johanna Loretz with the second, and Tove Njorstad with the third fastest time. And that means there will be a change in the ranking here in the overall standings, as we'll get a look at that. And that means Poletti will take top spot there. Njorstad will move into second place, and Johanna Loretz will slip into third place, with Zoe Pendlington locked in fourth place, Irene Mürer in fifth, and Bach-Falova in sixth, with one more discipline to go, and that is the underhand chop. What have we seen so far? Let's talk about the first three disciplines and the points accumulation and how things have changed. What's your opinion been?
I think it's been great. Sad about those few DQs in the standing block, but like, it's a new event for the ladies, so we have to get that practice in, that training in, and you'll see next year, guaranteed, there will be only a few, or if maybe one a competition, a DQ, because those ladies will be ready.
But there's been new disciplines across the board for all of the athletes in the intermediate for the women and the rookie discipline. The rookies have had the springboard added to their disciplines so that they can start to work on that. So again, it's adding more disciplines to get the more rounded, more well-accomplished athlete out there. And we will definitely see improvements, as you say, across the board once these women have a chance to really go for it with the training and get everything really flowing with that standing block chop, because that is a very difficult discipline, really, let's be honest.
That is, and you break a lot of axes, so that costs a lot of money. You got to figure out which axe is the right one for you, the weight, the sharpening on it. There's so many factors, and that all takes time.
Absolutely, and time we do not have right now, because we're heading over to the next discipline. Speaking of axes, that's the underhand chop.
Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
So underhand chop, Bach-Falova up against Zoe Pendlington, Irene Mürer against Johanna Loretz, and again, the top two from our ranking will go last, Njorstad against Poletti. So there is a slight difference here in the time on the underhand chop between these two women. Zoe Pendleton by tail of the tape has the advantage. But you also did mention that Bachfalova has been looking very, very good and in her training. So we may see a personal best, which I'm hoping here for her.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Right away, Zoe Pendleton getting into it with a little bit of pace here as she tries to get quickly into that first side. What they also have to be very wary of is not cutting into those footholds as well.
Yeah, those lovely footholds. They,
Your favorite.
1 millimeter and it costs you the event. So it's really crucial to keep away from them. So we'll see here. That didn't open up very much. Zoe has a bigger face open. We'll see what works better for this wood that they're chopping here today.
Zoe Pendleton onto the second side of her block already, waiting for that first piece to chip out on the second side. Bachfalova now moving over to the second side. She got a lot of junk in the way on that first side. So is that going to cause her problems?
I'm hoping she did enough so that she did that cut, but we'll only see at the end.
All right, Zoe looking like she's getting close to cutting through there, just passing the 1 minute mark. And I believe it's the same time limit for the underhand as for the standing block, 1 minute 30 seconds, correct?
That's right. Oh, Zoe has gotten down and changed her axe. She must have seen something in the wood, or it's just been sticking too much and changed.
Oh, she hasn't even gotten that first chip out.
I'm assuming there's something hidden behind that first chip that is keeping it from coming out.
So unfortunately for both of our athletes on stage, that is going to be a DQ due to exceeding the time limit. And you can see the frustration on Zoe's face. She can definitely cut better than that. She didn't even get that first chip out. And Bart Janssen comes over and has a quick look at it as they inspect that first side. Unfortunately, we are going to see 2 DQs. Not the best day for Zoe Pendleton at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, both DQ out of time.
Yeah, definitely not happy with that chop. We'll see if we can get a close-up here. There's many different reasons for something like that to happen.
I mean, she was cutting clean on the first side. She got a fairly good face on the first side by the looks of it. A little bit steppy, but not the end of the world, as she was chipping out quite well on that first side. And you did see her change the axe. You even mentioned it.
Yeah, so she probably thought maybe that it was just sticking too much, and that's why she changed. Changing an axe also costs you quite a few seconds in your time, so you got to make that decision wisely. You can see there it's kind of sticking, and you can see how her axe was out too far. Now, at the bottom on the other side, not where she just hit, it was still attached, so it wasn't coming out.
And you could see the number of drivers that she had put into that block to get through, and it just didn't chip out at all. All right, so our next heat up on stage now, Irene Mürer up against Johanna Loretz. Irene with a 53.26 and Johanna with a 52.52. So very evenly matched up pairing on stage right now. Once again, though, I should remind everybody that this is not about elimination. It's about the best time possible. You'll also notice that the women are wearing those very soft shoes. You might ask yourself, what are they thinking? What about with that axe? Well, they're wearing chainmail socks underneath there, folks. We get that question quite a lot.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Johanna Loretz with pace. Holy smokes, what's she doing over there?
Huge chips coming out by her.
Yeah. She
can
actually
keep that up. Wow, look at that.
Look at how deep she is on that first side. She's got a quick run going so far. Let's see if she switches over to that other side before 25 seconds. Yeah, she's over on the other side. I don't know if it was at the 25-second mark or a little bit after, but Johanna Loretz looking very good here as she starts to get through that second side, chips out a little bit of a wrench to get that done, and she starts getting more chips coming out there. It's looking very good as she changes her level of cut. Irene Mura on her second side now as well, and she's starting to chip out too. And Johanna Loretz is through at 53.70. Not a personal best, but she'll take it. And that's going to be the fastest time so far with 2 DQs before her. And she is through. And now Irene Mura needs to get some support from the audience here on hand to try and get through there in under 1 minute and 30 seconds. But it looks fairly close to going. She just needs to have a couple of good drivers, and I think she might be able to split that block. But it almost looked like it was wiggling and waggling, but it doesn't want to go through. She's got 9 seconds to get a couple more drivers in there. Will she be able to make it?
Come on.
We can see and hear the support from inside the room here. It's going to be close. Oh, no. Now listen, they might change that. They might change that because that initial reaction from our timers out front is to push the buttons, but that goes to competition control. So let's see what happens when competition control gets hold of it. It might be right on the line. Let's wait and see.
I don't know. I'm not liking Bart's face.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, stand 2. Just
No.
Too bad.
However, stand 4 is good.
That was so close. And you know, before when she was getting her wood together, getting it marked up, we discussed should she open more or less. And I said, the wood yesterday looked a bit hard, you know, rather open a little more. I think on the first side she did, but the second, here you can see she really hit her lines right on. That's what you want to do.
So the accuracy was definitely there, but just the speed today wasn't there. Speaking of speed, Johanna Loretz.
Unreal, that first side.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, that was some... Normally what we see is, you know, there's a driver, and then the axe comes way up high. Then another driver, and then the axe comes way up high. And here, she was lifting the axe up as she was bending down with her body to make that driver, so she was being really efficient with her movements, from my perspective. And she was really quick with her cut, so you could see the pace and the frequency with which she was driving into the block was a lot faster.
With Irene Müller, congratulations Irene, bravo, bist du?
Ja, es war okay für mich. Ja, okay, ich habe mit meinem Rücken etwas zu beißen. Deshalb ist es heute mein letzter Wettkampf. Aber ich bin zufrieden. Ich habe es geschafft. Und ja.
Super, machen wir noch ein großes Applaus für Irene. Thank you so much, Irene. She said me she's very happy. It's a good experience here in Switzerland. And yes, what a wonderful day. Yeah? Thank you so much, and back to studio.
All right, so an unfortunate DQ there, because I thought because very often when they get to the end of the cut and our 2 time stoppers push the buttons, then it goes to the competition control center, we lose a little bit of time off of that because it's human and then computer and the mix. But I guess she was just over by a little bit too much, and that mix was the disadvantage for Irene here. So the DQ for her with time over. And that means we only have 1 registered time, and that's Johanna Loretz, who was fantastic in that heat. She was lights out.
She was amazing, and she'll definitely be happy with that cut.
Yeah, and I mean, what I was mentioning earlier, the frequency of the drivers that she was going in. I mean, she was normally we're seeing the axe come way up high and then everything curls down to the hit, but she was bringing the axe up, and as she was on her way up with the axe, she was working her body down to try and get the driver in, and that increased the frequency of the hits into the block. So I think we're going to see that time from her improve as well as time goes by. And look at that national record time for Marta Poletti, 36.40. Tove Njørstad with a 40.09. Let's see how these 2 women will cut here in this last heat of our competition for the Women's Cup.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Tove Njorstad with a little bit more pace than Marta Poletti. Marta Poletti using those big heavy drivers from way up on high, but she's chipping out very nicely. Tove Njorstad on the far side with that yellow and blue jersey. Also trying to get those big hits in. She's got some garbage in the way that she needs to do some house cleaning on, but it looks pretty good there. She's chipping out nicely as changing of the height of her drivers now. And Marta Poletti should switch over to the other side any second. She's got a real deep cut on that first side. Gingerly over to the second side. Advantage goes to Marta Poletti, just passing the 35-second mark right now. Neither of these two women are going to have themselves a personal best, but it's now about who will have the fastest time between these two because they are so close together in the overall. And it's about who can get through here first. Tova's got the power on that second side, but does Marta have enough of an open face on that first side to get through quickly? And it's going to be Marta Poletti in 55.56. Tove Njorstad in a 59.45, not far behind. If everything is fair and we get the thumbs up from our stage judge Bart Janssen, then we will have Marta Poletti as our champion here today. And she is winded after that cut.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations, both guns are good.
So fantastic job by Tove Njorstad and Marta Poletti. And we will take a look at the slow-mos, get a ranking of the underhand chop, and then a final look at our overall, as that was the last heat in our women's competition today.
So you can see these two ladies in this event they used a different technique. They had slow hits, but massive hits. They chipped out a lot of wood with every hit. So it's easy, you got to find that sweet spot. Which way do you want to do it? And I'm assuming they watched the other athletes compete and decided to do it this way, because usually they have a little bit more frequency. They're a little high-powered when they chop. But it worked.
Marta's face there. She's like, yeah, I'll take it. It's not my best time, but I'll take it. I think that's more or less the same reaction there we see from Tove Njorstad. Okay, so the underhand chop, there we see Loretz with the fastest time overall with a 53.25. Marta Poletti and Tove Njorstad, who had very quick personal best times, weren't as fast today, closing in on the minute mark here, but all of our ladies were very close together. So that tells you that the blocks are cutting pretty evenly and pretty fairly. Unfortunately for our bottom three athletes in that one, Zoe Pendleton, Irene Murer, and Nadezhda Bakhfalova, we had DQs for over the time. That was actually, for me, quite surprising from Zoe as well, because normally she's pretty solid. I mean, she usually has a minute plus, but normally she's pretty solid with this discipline. So she's definitely going to be angry with herself on this one because that second side just wasn't happening for her.
No, but wood is a natural product, and you got to live with that, learn out of it,
yep.
And next competition is around the corner.
So that with that, we just saw really briefly the final results as I blabbed my way along through this one. But it is Marta Poletti taking the top spot here with Tove Njorstad in second place, and Johanna Loretz with a fantastic result will have the bronze medal and third place on the podium. And I do believe that we are going to go over to the main stage for a quick interview. Let me just have a look there. No, we're going to go Siegerehrung first, the winners ceremony, the award ceremony, and then we'll have a winner or an interview with Marta after the award ceremony. So let's head up to the main stage and see how that breaks down.
I'm speaking? Okay, we are ready. So a beautiful day with a beautiful, beautiful performance with this woman. Now we are ready for the award. Now we give the woman the medallion. But first, fatemi dire una cosa all'inizio. Dobbiamo ringraziare un po' di gente. Dobbiamo ringraziare il CEO Ralf Türke, che praticamente presenta la presentazione e dà i premi, offrendo col suo sponsor le medaglie. Die Preise werden überreicht von Ralf Türke, das ist der Geschäftsführer STIHL in der Schweiz. The awards will be presenting by the Managing Director of STIHL Switzerland, Ralf Turke. And now we are ready to present you the winners and the all women. Siamo pronti? Ci iniziamo? Andiamo con la presentazione? No, non ancora? Allora, prima di tutto, let me show you this wonderful public. Facciamo un po' di casino, make a noise, che ci vedono. From Canada, from New Zealand, from China, dappertutto tutto il mondo. This is Bellinzona, guys. The beautiful Bellinzona. Ich werde auch auf Deutsch sagen, danke bis jetzt. Vi ricordo che aspettiamo il momento delle atlete. Dalle 15 rinizieremo con invece le gare maschili svizzere. Tutto quello che avete visto con le donne, le magnifiche donne, sarà all'ennesima potenza con gli uomini. Mi dicono dalla regia che possiamo partire with the award. Presentiamo le ragazze. Sesto posto, sixth place from Czech Republic. Un grosso applauso a Nadezhda Bakvalova. Benvenuta, brava. Al quinto posto, fifth place from Switzerland, dalla Svizzera, Irene Murer. Brava, benvenuta. From Great Britain, dalla Gran Bretagna, al quarto posto, fourth place, Zoe Pennington. Ed ora, now, siamo pronti con il podio. We have the three best. Iniziamo, siamo pronti. Terzo posto, 17 punti, third place, 17 points from Austria, Johanna Lorenz. Congratulations, Johanna. Medaglia di bronzo. Bronze medaglia, thank you. Gratulazioni, vai Johanna. Sale sul gradino più basso. Siamo pronti per il prossimo. La consegna del premio. Un applauso ancora, terzo posto per Johanna Lorenz. Second place al secondo posto, 18 points from Sweden, Tobin Justad. Congratulations, Tove. Gli abbracci, we see the hugs between the girls. Terzo posto, abbiamo la consegna. Go! Eccola! Congratulations to Sweden. Nice job, Tove. And now, incredibili amici, first place, 21 punti, 21 points, from Italy, dall'Italia, Marta Poletti! Marta, rimanimi umile, rimanimi umile, vai! Che la ritroveremo ancora dopo. So nice to see these girls. Un applauso ancora alla vincitrice, the winner, gold medaglie, Marta Poletti. Ok. And now for the winner, siamo pronti, we are ready for Italian hymn, l'inno italiano. Un grande applauso alle tre. Occhio che parte. Marta Poletti, dove state? Anna Lorenz. Fermi tutti perché parte la festa. Che start the party, baby. Come on. È meraviglioso. È tutto giusto. Ancora un applauso ragazzi per queste ragazze. Vai. Brave. Noi ci vediamo alle 15 per la gara uomini. Wir sehen uns um 15 Uhr heute Nachmittag. On se voit à 15 h aujourd'hui pour quelle que sera la construction avec les hommes. À bientôt. And now back to the studio.
I'm going to tell you what, those jerseys are going to stink later today, huh?
Love the champagne shower.
Love the
Love
champagne
it.
shower, and I love how they all celebrated that together. Fantastic moment there at the end. Big congratulations to Marta Poletti for taking the top of the podium here today, and we got to listen to the Italian national anthem for her. So this was a fantastic competition. Last thoughts for you before we head up to the interview on stage?
It was awesome to see just the quality of the athletes has grown, and so excited to see what they bring next year.
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned, the standing block chop is a new discipline for our athletes. So next season, it is going to be a vastly different landscape here when we have these women on stage. And now I do believe that the interview is going to be skipped. So we're going to go straight to our goodbyes. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. We hope that you enjoyed our Women's Cup. And we will be back at 3 p.m. today, local time, for our Swiss Men's Championship. You don't want to miss that. See ya.